This is a typical results screen. Your results are expressed as 4 letters that indicate your personality preferences. The graph tells you how clear your preferences are. This video will explain what your 4 letters and graph mean. Before we get too far along, let's make a few key points. Number 1, no assessment is 100% accurate, so think about your results as a good starting point for self-awareness. Number 2, there are no good or bad or right or wrong types. All types are valuable. Number 3, everyone uses both sides of a preference. A good analogy is that type preferences are like handedness. We can use both hands but are more comfortable with one. Just because I prefer my right hand doesn't mean I can't use my left hand. And number 4, your future is at stake, so if any part of your results do not seem to fit, you can decide to change your type or redo the assessment. You are in charge. The first preference is E or I. The first preference answers the question, what energizes you? And the answer is either your outside world or your inside world. These two preferences are called extroversion or introversion. Extroverts are energized by the outer world of action. They like to interact with people, which means they like to talk, sometimes without thinking. Introverts are energized by the inner world of understanding. They like to reflect on their world, which means they like to think, sometimes without talking. As a keyword summary, extroverts are normally seen as being more outgoing, talkative, or socially engaged. Introverts are seen as being more focused, quiet, and reflective. Which seems more like you? Second preference is S or N. Second preference answers the question, how do you find out about your world? And the answer is either through your 5 senses or something beyond your 5 senses. These two preferences are called sensing or intuition. Those who prefer sensing focus on their direct experiences and are often seen as being practical and realistic. Those who prefer intuition focus on the meaning behind their experiences and are often seen as creative and imaginative. Intuition is indicated by an N because the letter I is already used for introversion. As a keyword summary, intuitives tend to be seen as being more imaginative, creative, and visionary. Sensing types tend to be seen as being more sensible, practical, and realistic. Which seems more like you? The third preference is T or F. The third preference answers the question, how do you make decisions? And the answer is either by logic or by values. These two preferences are called thinking or feeling. Those who prefer thinking make decisions using more objective criteria and are often seen by others to be businesslike and fair. Those who prefer feeling make decisions using more subjective criteria and are often seen by others to be compassionate. A keyword summary for thinking types is that they are often seen to be logical, fair, and businesslike. And for feeling types, they are often seen to be sensitive, supportive, and empathetic. Which seems more like you? The fourth preference is J or P. This type factor asks the question, how do you approach life? And the answer is either by organizing things or being open to possibilities. These two preferences are called judging or perceiving. People who prefer judging often make and keep schedules and are seen by others to be organized. Judging does not mean condemning. It means making a decision. People who prefer perceiving are more likely to keep their options open and are seen by others to be spontaneous. Keyword summary for judging types is they're organized, goal-oriented, and methodical. Keyword for perceiving types is spontaneous, flexible, and open-ended. Which seems more like you? Your preference clarity graph gives you an idea of how sure you are of the results. It is not a measure of how good or bad you are at anything. For example, in this case, the person has strong scores for extroversion, intuition, and perceiving, and a low score for feeling. What this means is that she is more likely to agree that her E, N, and P preferences are accurate and describe her well. For the F preference, she may not be so sure. In the end, she needs to think about all 4 preferences and be comfortable about what fits best for her. This video will now end and your own results will be shown.